stabby blast.
Yeah, let me turn that down.
I'm used to it.
Right.
I don't know where the.
Honestly.
Yeah, I'll figure that out.
That's how you play it back in the studio.
Yeah. So loud. So yeah, what's up? We're live. We're back at the Mass Music and Arts Summit. We're here with Sammy from Phoenix Down Studios, one of the dopest studios in town.
Hell
You would
yeah.
probably say it's the
One of the
dopest
best.
studio, right?
The best.
The
Unparalleled.
best, right. I'm opening a studio, so now I'm biased, but
Oh, man, we can put you on, man. Don't worry.
yeah.
We share the love.
Yeah. No, I need some tips, man. Everybody over there, the mixes always sound amazing.
It's more behind the mixes, man. It's the recording, it's the love, it's the passion, the editing, it's like the
Yeah.
pieces, it's the care for the artists. And yeah, I'm grateful
Yeah.
to be part of it.
Yeah, I love everybody over there. Kyle and Casso, I know those guys pretty well.
Yeah.
Ali, don't forget Ali.
Ali, yeah.
Ali,
Julia.
Yep.
Julia,
And-
Marco,
oh my God, don't let me forget my last girl's name.
Marco,
Ali,
Aiden,
Julia.
Ellie,
Ellie. Oh my God,
Ellie.
yes. Ellie, I still love you. Don't.
Aiden, Ed.
Yeah.
Huge team of interns too. Pedro,
Yeah.
new engineer on the lot.
What would you say is like the secret sauce of Phoenix Down?
Man, it's the attention to detail, I think.
Yeah.
100%. I think it's things that people don't think about. It's when we're recording, if you're singing, for example, we know the take is good and we can bring it there, even if the artists don't feel it right away.
Yeah.
And we're going to get it there as soon as possible. We feel the take maybe before you do. So it's the power in the take. It's the power in like a clean vocal, knowing to go just a few steps further than I've seen any other studio done. I've worked in New York and LA, and then I was blown away when I started working at Phoenix and started interning at Phoenix. And just seeing the attention to detail just go to a different level. It's like Pro Tools, like 3.0. I haven't seen anyone work with Pro Tools the way we have.
Yeah. And so when you say like the extra, going the extra mile, the extra level, the detail, are you talking about like Melodyne shit or like
100%.
I know you guys go crazy on Melodyne over there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we just have a different workflow from a lot of people with Melodyne. Like,
Really?
bring on some interns who have had their own studios, either in the city or outside the city, for years, and they see us work on Melodyne, like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Got some people who go to LA and they'll run like songwriting camps. Big engineers who have been in LA for years, they see us work and they're like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could change the key commands in Melodyne. I didn't know you could work faster. I didn't know you could like align stacks that way. A lot of people are aligning stacks with like these plugins that might degrade the sound, like print the sound out, degrade it. We're out there doing it by hands. It just
With
it
like
feels
in
like
Melodyne, like the time shifting. in there?
time shifting, some like aligning up the way the sound might curve up to the next sound, grace notes, for example. All of that is just examples of the attention to detail that like makes it the professional sound that we're looking for.
Yeah, I sat in a session when Josh was still there.
Phenomenal.
Josh
Shoeback.
Shoeback. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I knew that. Shout out to him. He's dope.
Doing big things.
And it's like you're saying, he opened my eyes with Melodyne because I was using it and doing some shit with it, but like the way he used it and the speed too, I was like, oh, I gotta get my shit together, bro.
I mean, like, it's vocals, but if you really like open up Melodyne, you could work on that with pads. You can change MIDI into notes and manipulate notes.
Yeah.
You can change format. You can change the spectrum. I've had an artist one time, he was kind of sick, so he had a bit of like a nasal problem, like a bit of congestion.
Move the format up a little bit or something like that.
Not even the format. If you go into like the EQ settings in Melodyne, you can change. It shows you the EQ curve of the way he's singing, and it shows you the resonance in like the nasal cavity for him. So it was around like 600, 800. It shows you that.
Really?
You just drop that down, and it's better than, because the format changes the direction or like where in the throat they're singing. So either higher or like lower.
Yeah.
Right? So you can just change it lower, and but you can literally change.
It's really
the
that
EQ
nasal
spectrum.
frequency.
Yeah.
So that's what that fucking graph at the bottom is.
Yeah, you'd have to open it up. It's like a setting in the top left.
Yeah,
You can do that for pads too. You can do that for like bridge outros on a 2-track, and you can do that for guitars. You make loops.
What do you mean bridge outros on it? Oh, like
You can make a bridge in like a 2-track.
Oh, by like stripping out some of the frequencies or something like that.
You can like just change it. Yeah. You can drag that to a new track. Change it to polyphonic, right? Because it's a beat, and you can go into that EQ and just change the way it feels, and it can like become a loop. So I know like a lot of like hip hop nowadays, it's like these really strange loops, the way they like make you feel strange. It's like, but it's hard, right? So you put that over a banging 808, and like you can get that in Melodyne if you like really unlock it.
I'm gonna try that shit.
Yeah.
I use Melodyne a lot to when I'm producing to find the bass line of a sample.
Yeah.
It's like for whatever reason, I'm a drummer, so like my ear's okay, but finding the notes, it takes me too long. So I just load that shit up in Polyphonic. I'm like, oh, that's the notes. All right, cool.
You find it. Yeah, word.
Yeah.
There's sometimes like, because they was ran through tape machines, tape wobble, like you never know.
It
Like,
can be tough. I like when the sample
Wait,
makers like include the bass MIDI. I'm like, all right, it made my life easier, bro. Yeah,
you can like AI it out too sometimes. Like
Yep.
always this AI.
Yeah.
Use it all the time.
Yeah, I've been fucking with some of the AI stem splitting, like when I'm sampling, and then like I love the texture that it gives shit. Like, because you strip it out, it doesn't always do a perfect job.
No, it
You
has
know?
artifacts.
But I sort of enjoy that
Okay.
a little bit. Like, like you take out the drum, you take out the bass, and it just leaves the keyboard, and it sounds kind of funny. But then you chop it up, and maybe you add some other instruments back into it to fill it out a little bit more. And it sounds dope, bro. Yeah. Do you produce too?
I produce in session, just as like all Phoenix Down engineers. If a song needs it, I add it.
Okay.
If it's like taking a bounce of all the reverbs and reversing that and making an intro, do that. If a song needs like a synth bass, we do that. Like Phoenix Down, we have like Roland's and Casios in each room, Yamahas in each room. So just like whatever a song might need, I'll do it.
That's really
If
cool.
I know like I have a couple session guitarists I like have in my mind that can like nail a sound. Sometimes I can put Kyle on, but it's like it's about a community, It's like we got some dope producers that are there, so I'd love to put them on whenever I can.
Hell yeah. I mean, yeah, that's one of the best things about Phoenix, I think, is the people that are always hanging around there. There's so much fucking talent.
Yeah, like even in the interns, like we're only hiring like people that we see super bright already, like already putting in a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then they can like take their self to the next level, try and become an engineer with us. But they're putting in work as like producers, and they've been already putting in like so many hours. So
It seems like there's almost like Phoenix Down tries to angle towards engineers that are also artists. Is that a thing there? Like intentional?
I wouldn't say that. I'd say because Kyle and Josh were more producers as well.
That's true. Yeah.
So I'd say like, but in our production, we care so much about the song, care so much about the artist, that you could say we're artists. But
Right.
like me, Kyle, I can vouch for most of the staff. We really care about the song that you give us, 100% more than like the song that might be on your mind for your EP or something. If you're an artist, right? So us producer engineers also to show love to our artist engineers, but like we have like people like Ali and Julia, they can do an amazing hook. And if a producer wants to book some time and have them write songs to their beats, they're still there for the song, and the song is the producer's song. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just think as engineers, we're so into the song, and we're so into like what the artist or the producer brings to the table that we do whatever's necessary. All of us. I think that's just like the mindset.
On the other hand, what would you say is something that you feel like you guys could work on more? Or something
Letting
you
people
feel-
know. I think we could just work more on, like we always have let the brand speak for itself, and we've had a lot of success with John and Josh and even Kyle and currently Scott, like everyone bringing in huge artists. Like some names I might not be able to drop just yet have recently came through, but I know in the past, like we've had John bring Snoop Dogg,
I know
Lil Baby.
Future was
Lil
there.
Baby, Future,
Yeah.
No Cap, Polo G, Young Boy. The names could keep going, and that's just the history of Phoenix Down is so stacked, and it's because they love our work. It's like when John was here and he kind of made the philosophy for everybody of how we work. Jeezy wanted him, Gunna wanted him, Lil Baby wanted him to be personal engineers. We just had an engineer go to be Meek Mill's personal engineer. So he's working with Meek and then Meek's whole team. Like they see what we do here. And I was just talking to some artists about this is like, say for example, we have our people go to LA, right? We have some engineers who worked at Phoenix Down, they go to LA. They're working really quickly with huge artists, like huge artists in the industry. And it's not because of what they learned somewhere else. It's what they could do at Phoenix Down. It's how we all pushed each other at Phoenix. And it's just the level of excellence we push each other towards. I think that's part of the community thing, is just being in this group of people that all like, nah, you got to push that harder. You got to try these vocal effects here. You got to push that artist to hit the vibrato here. It's just like we're all here for each other.
Yeah. Do you like to do like a lot of coaching during the sessions?
If it's needed, just like everything,
Right.
if it's needed.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's definitely something I specialize in. I have a lot of artists. I have some vocal producers I've met with in LA. So we'll talk about tone. We'll talk a lot about cadence, and we'll talk about rhythm, depending on the type of song. Those like more classic hip hop rhythms, those boom bap songs, I'm definitely focusing on rhythm. Those R&B records, I'm focusing on like vibrato or no vibrato, right? It's like The Weeknd, he's very like a dry type of singer, right? So I've had some artists send me demos, and they're these really like beautiful singers, but that's not what the record calls for. These Weeknd type records are very dry, very straight vocals. So like you do that, and then you just let like reverbs and effects take over, and that's actually the sound they were going for. So you just think about whether it needs the thing or doesn't need the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned like rhythm and timing, right? So something like that when I'm working with an artist, like like rappers especially.
Yep.
There's kind of a thing that's been happening more and more. I've noticed in rap where like the timing is kind of like intentionally wrong,
Yep.
or like they just have a very loose cadence.
Yep.
But like, and there's a really thin line between it sounds like shit and it sounds cool.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I'll like be like that sounds a little fucked up, but the artist is like that's the way they want it. Do you do like a lot of time shifting in those cases, or are you kind of letting them put their cadence down the way that they like it?
I'm usually letting them put the cadence down. If you think about jazz, like
Yeah.
if you listen to any jazz, it's the downbeat, let the thing flow, and then let it end somewhere that makes sense.
Right.
So I'm kind of just thinking about the downbeat and letting everything happen in the middle be free. I think
Yes.
artists, like, we got to look back to the roots. Like, it's always been this way with some, like, patterns in performance, right?
Yeah.
Like, because we, at Phoenix Down, we're a recording studio. We're focusing on performance, right?
Yep.
Mixing studios are probably just more focused on sonics and dithering, you know what I mean, frequency spectrum, which we're also doing.
Yeah.
But if we're recording, and especially vocals, I'm all about performance every single day of the week. And that's the shit that really excites me. You know, it's like I listen to big artists and I'm just like listening to their voice. It pumps me up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think a bit like syncopation in like jazz. You know, like Biggie Smalls, people said that he rapped a lot like a swing player, like a trombone. He didn't really rap like another rapper because in the 90s, it was just like there wasn't a lot of rap to go off of. So he sounded like what he heard, which was jazz. I think this is just a new type of jazz. I've
Yeah.
had some artists, like I used to try and shift stuff. They say don't shift it.
Yep.
And then I understood, oh, like that's how it's like swing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the magic in music a lot. Like if everything is just on the grid, it can be pretty boring.
All the time.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really careful about Melodyne, not gridding everything.
Yeah.
It's all about what's the lead vocal. We're going to go off that, and we're going to shift things a little bit right and left.
So that like the words line up on the doubles and shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Depending on the genre. If you listen to like Olivia Rodrigo's like first album, those stacks, I don't think they were touched. You know what I mean? She just performed them. They're super off.
Yeah.
And they're a little jarring, and that's like the music. So it's like
That can create
it
a
makes
cool
sense.
kind of bounce around sometimes when they're not aligned. I sort of like that sometimes. You know?
Panning can definitely fix timing. But I think that's more for singing. It depends on how much you want to do that for rap, because rap is more spoken word.
I think
Like
it's
the
cool
double-
if it's like an ad-lib or something
Oh,
like a
yeah.
one-word thing and it goes like that. I don't know.
Yeah, when it's
Is that what
panning
it's like
around.
when it's panning left
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If I
Yeah.
say something like left and then you're like right or something and you do that shit, that's
You
it.
fucking with any spatial audio yet?
You mean like
Like that
360,
that new shit, like the surround.
Dolby Atmos?
Yeah.
I've like definitely studied it. I went to college for music industry, so I like wrote some papers on it, did a little research. There's so many different platforms right now for it, like 3D, like Sony, Ambisonic,
Yeah.
and throughout history there's been like 5.1
Sure.
quad sonics. So we really just have to see how it wants to be normalized before we can dive too deep
It's a huge
into
investment,
specialization.
too. Yeah,
It's like if
yeah.
some people know 360 Sony software, but they don't know Dolby Atmos, and then like no one's even listening to any of that yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little bit of time. And but yeah, I've definitely been messing with it. There's ways to do like the same spectral work in stereo, like particularly the like circular motion of it. Like
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need to be in a 360 space.
You can kind of fake
Listen
the
to
front
it.
to back with like EQ and reverb and stuff, right?
Yeah, reverbs. Man, do you know like sound toys?
Yeah.
You know the tremolator?
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
It's like
Sound
nice.
toys, the tremolator. I'm trying to.
I'm nerding out.
Wait for your birthday, Naughty.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a.
let's go. Sorry.
If you open like on the right, like below the gain knobs, there's like a width setting.
Yeah.
And if you just crank the width, it actually feels like it's going in a circle.
No shit.
So the tremolator is tremolo, right? So that's front and back, like because audio can come from it front and back with volume. The width seems to make it go in a little bit of a circle. So
Sick. I
kind
gotta
of
try
like
that.
a Brower motion.
Yeah, I
Brower
love
motion
that
with a
plugin.
circle.
Yeah.
There's a ton of plugins that can do it, but yeah, it is just reverb and panning. But I've noticed like reverbs, they don't always like turn it down. Sometimes they just make it bigger.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to put the like I'll use like the Pan Man or Brower.
Totally.
Sometimes I like to put that after the reverb, so then the reverb kind of like swirls around a little bit too. and
100%.
shit, you know?
Yeah. You can even put like a little like a spacey echo before all of that, and it has more activity. Like a Stardust is like a type of reverb, like those echoes that have like the knobs on them, like
Yeah.
the 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like a couple delays like that in the market right now, but putting those before any like reverbs or any sort of sauce you might do, that's something I personally do a lot.
Sick,
It
sick.
can help it dance more.
What else? What are you? What's your favorite new plugin recently?
Man, plugins is tough. But I will say it's like it's not new to the industry right now, I don't think. But it's a vibe plugin, because I think any of those plugins that do like saturation, EQ, compression are like, everyone has some version of that.
Yeah.
But Murder Melodies has like this reverse button on it.
Yeah.
So I put a reverb before that, and that makes like this reverse verb that I've never heard before. So
Oh, that's a
been my
gem.
thing.
I'm trying that. I'm
Yeah.
trying that.
See, we just giving it out, man.
Yeah.
I know you are. Too.
We could hide it, but we giving it out, man. That's
know,
Phoenix
beautiful.
down. We show love.
No, I think it's important to pour the tricks back into the soup, and give them to other people because like that, it comes back to you. Like
100%.
I might take that, fuck around with it, branch off to another idea, and then
let me know
like
what you
and then
find.
that comes back around to you someday.
Of course,
Like,
of course.
that's the only
As
way
soon
that
as
we
you
grow.
find it, you got to bring it back to him.
I will. Yeah. Hey, I tried that trick and then I did.
Yeah,
this.
nobody else.
No one else.
It's a closed circle, you know?
Do you do much instrumental mixing, or is it mostly 2 tracks?
A lot of instrumental mixing too.
Yeah.
Phoenix Down, like artists and clients, they like to come prepared sometimes.
Yeah.
I was just talking with some here. They're like, I'll come through when I get the stems from the producer,
Nice.
which can be a process, but
Yeah.
they want to make sure they get the best out of us. I think it's particularly low end. It just doesn't have enough dynamics in 2 tracks most of the time, or it has too much, and you're compressing that down. You're like losing dynamics.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it's just like the mix is a little rocky because like a lot of times like you mix a beat without a vocal, like to your ears it sounds great, but then you put a vocal on it and you're like, oh, there's no room.
Yeah,
You know?
you gotta watch out for like, I think particularly low mids. Like people think you gotta watch out for like 1K to 4K. I think like 500 or freaking 8 to 200. If that's a lot, which you won't notice, it's always a lot. But if you notice 200 to 800 hertz is like too much, your vocal's gonna sound really thin.
Because it's covering up all the body.
Yeah, it's covering
Yeah.
the body of the
Yeah,
vocal.
yeah.
And that's in the 2 tracks where people won't think about it just because it gets lost. 808.
Yeah, I mean it makes it sound good too when it's nice and full in that area,
You like
on
that,
a beat.
yeah. And then you're losing the vocals. You gotta
Right.
prioritize vocals. Don't
Definitely.
think too much about soloing or getting rid of the vocal.
Yeah.
But I always bounce between the two. It all depends.
Yeah. I actually like to make beats with a like an acapella in.
Word, really?
Yeah.
Like before you even start the beat?
Like I'll just take I'll download an acapella or use some shit I have from another session and just
Wow.
throw it in the beat making session
Wow.
and then start making my beat. And I find that I leave enough space for the vocal.
Yeah.
I mix it better. I don't overproduce it.
I mean, that's the biggest thing is overproducing.
Yeah.
That's why, like, lately the sound has been like you do a ton of little loops and then you kind of push it all to the back, and that's like all the music.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And sometimes that's cool, like for hip hop and stuff. Like you just create all these little vibes, and then you put all the big drums and 808 in front.
Right.
But I think I'm a big fan of music that all moves together, kind of like a band.
Right.
Like things that have like chordal function and like the bass and the keys move, and there's a bridge, so now everything's gonna go this way. It's kind of like a guided motion. But I have a lot of respect for that stuff too. It was like the stuff where you just build loops out and you create this atmosphere for the artist to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more freedom in music, and we gotta lean into that.
Definitely.
We like not think too much about what was in the past. We gotta think about letting the artist be free to make the next thing.
You fucking with Orion yet? The new Jason Joshua plugin?
I heard about it for sure. We have it in the Phoenix Sound Studios. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to
It's
it.
pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. Yeah. It sounds great on drums. That's what it's for, right?
Right.
But I feel like I'm trying to like experiment with just putting it on like all the buses.
That's
in
what
my
you gotta
session,
do.
Yeah. See how it sounds on vocals, see how it sounds on instruments and shit. Because all the knobs in it, like you
There's
can.
a lot of knobs.
Yeah. The only thing it doesn't do is you can't like subtract really with it. Like
Right,
like
only
remove.
additive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to be careful about like phase and like low end with the kicks. I
Yeah.
guess.
And I think you have to kind of like put it on pretty early too.
Of course,
'Cause
yeah,
if
that's
you-
how he intends it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, you just load it up with God Particle on the top, and then that shit on the buses, and then mix into it.
Usually, like my drum bus, like before Orion was like a TZO vibe. So like TZO was like Chris Brown's engineer, and he would do like a compressor and then a God Particle.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been doing like the API 2500 and then God Particle
On
and
the
that-
bus.
on the drum bus. Yeah,
Yeah, I fuck with. I
So,
like
like,
God Particle
some
on
amount.
the vocal bus sometimes.
yeah. If it has like a tight with the EQs on, it's tight in the high end. But if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you need, you should go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it on drums just because it has a lot of dynamics.
Something I struggle with a
Dance.
lot is like really making the vocals sit right. Like that always takes me forever.
Well, yeah, if you're doing too much to the beat with the vocals off, it can do that.
Yeah.
I think something we look for. Man, I'm getting off a lot of game here.
I know.
Yeah. Might not have a job after this. Nah. It's just snare to vocal like comparison.
Yeah. So what
Just get that close.
do you listen for? Like for the snare to be a little bit louder or a little bit quieter?
The same.
The same. You
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to hit that about the same point?
Yeah, the same. And then like if the 808's taking up the entire rest of the mix,
Yeah.
then maybe work on the 808. But just trying to do too much.
Okay.
Too. Like let the vocal be the music. That's something that like I think engineers or musicians who play a lot, they want the music to be the music. But if there's a vocal in there, that's the music, you know? That should feel good. Don't turn it down because it's harsh. Don't turn it down because it's boomy. Just fix that. You know what I mean? Like let the vocal like push you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Especially if the beat is like one of those beats that just is a loop and like some drums and maybe not too much motion. Let the vocal take you somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, right? Is to
Yeah.
record good vocals.
Yeah, that I especially suffer from when it's my beat because I want that shit like all that
Exactly.
shit I did. Like you got to hear that. You know,
I want it all.
Yeah. I
Jeez.
need this verb up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like for the synth, it's not for the vocal.
right? Yeah, it's bullshit.
Of course.
Yeah.
Nah, but you definitely dropped a bunch of gems for everybody. I was definitely sitting here listening.
Yeah,
Even though I couldn't geek out with y'all, I was still listening and taking
We
it
appreciate
in.
you being here. I think like most importantly, it's like performance stuff, right? Like I think for artists, just think about like your favorite performers. A lot of people talk about like Michael Jackson. A lot of people talk about like Freddie Mercury, these like classic like goats, right? They had such an ill performance. It's like you can still do that. Like
Yeah.
that's still in the studios nowadays. Even if we have all these effects, reverbs, auto tunes, there's still like a power in the right performance. Not always. That doesn't mean we're always singing like MJ. That just means we're doing the right thing for the song.
Yeah, you have to like. I look for emotion in the performance,
100%.
even if it's not perfectly on pitch. Like you can fix the pitch,
Yep.
you can't fix the delivery, really.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
so you got to listen for that shit and bring that out. I
And just
think.
be patient with it. Like patient
Yeah.
with artists too. It's like
Yeah.
they're here for you to be patient with them. So it's just
I think.
That's
Yeah,
the
I think
biggest
the
thing.
job of the engineer is just to get out of the way. Like
100%.
when you're recording, just get the fuck out of the way.
mixing too.
You know.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. Mixing, I feel, is like, I feel like mixing is really it's like almost like sculpture. Like we start with like a stone, and you got to carve it away and let the song out.
I think we start with like not just a stone though. Like, you know what I mean? The
Sure.
producer gave us some intention. We
Yeah.
kind of started with like those tiki heads. You know, the tiki like
And then you got to carve that.
and then we
into-
turned that into David.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But
right.
the tiki head's fire too.
Right.
It's like we gotta keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Tiki head to David.
How do you deal with demoitis?
Man, that's one that could give me pause for sure. It's think about where the artist is going. I think it's just a spectrum thing. Like the only issue with a demo is spectrums. Like they're usually just too tight spectrum wise.
Yeah.
Like as long as I think get as close with the stems. Like I just did an indie record, right? Like with like this indie rock record, it was great. But you would want to, I don't know, like crank the drums up, make it mad bright, and like do this hip hop thing, but
Yeah.
you can't. Like
Yeah.
you really can't. So and that's not even what the song's about. The song is about like his vocal and like his effects on the vocal. So I got his effects on the vocal and like I made that the important thing.
Yep.
So then I can make the bass a little heavier and I can make it more dynamic. And the day he loved it. So it's just about like keep the important thing exactly how they had it. If an artist sends me stems with their auto tune, I always use it. No questions about it.
Yeah, right? Because they're used to that.
They're like
Yeah.
if it's waves tune, if it's like waves tune like the high latency one, it's an old auto tune, a new auto tune, they always get what they want because like that part we can't replicate the exact same way.
Right.
And that's the main thing artists hear when they're singing into auto tune.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just get that right. So demoitis just kind of get the part that the artist got right. If the artist is a guitarist, like get their pedals. If they're a vocalist, get their tune right and their reverbs exactly how they had it.
Yes.
And then they're probably not going to notice the other stuff. They can make that up.
Right. They just listen to themselves.
It's more for you.
Yeah.
You know?
right, man.
Yeah.
Well, shit, Sammy. I mean, I could literally talk about this type of shit all day, man.
You know me too.
But we really appreciate you coming by, dropping some gems.
It was an honor.
Hopefully, I'll see you over at Phoenix sometime.
Oh, definitely, man. It's
Yeah.
good to meet you.
What's the at? Where can people find you?
My ad is Sammy Rosario, so Dominicano y Puerto Riqueño.
Oh, where's Jerry?
should
Oh,
have been here.
Yeah.
Our other host is Dominican, so yeah.
I've been seeing so many good, like, that was an all Dominican panel just now. It's very inspiring for me.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah.
Jerry would have went nuts. Oh my God.
Yeah. So Sammy Rosario _ and yeah, man. Or check me out, Phoenix Down. You'll see some content from me on the studio page.
You got music out too, or anything like that?
I'm primarily an engineer,
Yeah.
and if you go to my page, you'll see a Spotify playlist of everything I worked on.
Fuck yeah.
A couple songs.
That's cool.
All right, well, make sure you check that out. Make sure you get over to Phoenix Down and get your shit right.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Sammy.
All right, thank you.
We'll be back with more.